Okay, so checking in week 2 of the Building Trackstack series, where I'm going to get into topics very real, authentic, unfiltered, raw. This is literally me holding my iPhone front camera. When it comes to these videos, like, I used to think that I needed all this equipment to do it, like a really fancy camera and lighting and a microphone. And it made me realize that I spent more time thinking about that than what I actually wanted to say in a video. And sometimes the best videos are like just the most raw, basic videos. And I'm saying that because I've always wanted just to share what's going on in what I do. But I've always had this idea of like, it needs to look good, it needs to be perfect. And I think the idea of perfectionism is a really important and relatable challenge for all of us, because we stop doing the thing to pursue the perfection of it before actually doing it. And I feel like perfection comes from like just actually doing it. It's like going to the gym. Like, the first time you do a move that you haven't done before, it's probably going to be a bit awkward and not the best execution. But over time, you keep doing it, your body learns how to do it and you get better. And I think it's the same with all of it. So today I want to talk about the idea of how we actually use this concept of being scrappy and not trying to perfect things with like every aspect of building Trackstack. If I look back at like everything we did, like one of the core themes, especially from me, was just be scrappy and get it out there and get it done. Whether it was literally every feature we built, we kind of shipped it within a week, even if it wasn't finished. And we get it out there and we just kind of get feedback and iterate and improve it from there. And it goes against like traditional software development where, you know, you'd spend ages planning it, designing it, thinking about it, talking about it. You know, I spent a decade working in startups just talking about what we're going to do, and it would take so long to see new things come into the product. And you know, the great thing about what we did is, you know, me and my co-founder George were both software engineers, we're both makers, so we were just making features on that, you know, based on feedback that we had. Like every piece of feedback we were like, okay, well, let's put it in there. You know, some of it wasn't that good, but most of it was just on the money because it was coming from people who were using the product. So it's like, if they say they need this, then they need it. And we would just try and put it in there as fast as possible. And I feel like that's how we grew like a really intimate relationship with some of our like core initial user base that still use the product today. And this idea of being scrappy because it actually creates faster progress is the main takeaway from this video. And I'm gonna talk about different examples of that in Trackstack and hopefully how you can relate that back to your world. So when it came to product, we would ship features fast and we would ship them unfinished. And we would do that deliberately just to get it out the door in the most minimum viable version of it. We could call it MVN, minimum viable, MVV, there we go. Minimum viable version, that's quite a nice one. There's this topic of like minimum viable product, but no one really talks about minimum viable version. And I feel like, you know, version implies iteration. If there's a version 1, you can do version 1.1. So that's the first thing. Focus on the minimum viable version of whatever it is. So if it's a feature, just do it, get it out there, start improving it, start getting it into users' hands. We did that for every part of Trackstack. There's not one part that we fully designed or sat down and fully thought about. We just knew that it was right and it made sense, and we would just build it as quickly as possible. And now it's like even faster with AI. Like we could ship a feature within like 48 hours if we'd like. And I regularly still do that, even faster now. Like I love it. But this also applied to our social media content. So we'd have an idea for a post or a collaboration and we just do the minimum viable version and we get it out there And feedback around there is a little bit harder, but we would use obviously the insights and, you know, the engagement. And then a lot of it is just within, like you kind of know whether it's good or not. And I feel like you should trust that a lot more than, you know, relying on you know, other people. I talked about this idea that I would try and share with you, like really how I think and move when it comes to this stuff. And a lot of it is about literally trusting your own intuition. Being a creator or an entrepreneur, like it requires like a massive commitment to just trusting like whatever the message or whatever the feeling, the decision, like that's right. And that's kind of how you grow that's how you grow strength as a leader and of yourself, because predominantly you have to lead yourself first before you can lead others. And growing that sense of trust with that intuition also helps you avoid being caught up in procrastination, because it's very easy to keep seeking advice, seeking tips and books and courses without actually taking action and learning through the scrappiness. And that was a massive trap for me in my younger years. Like I would constantly like go to courses or listen to podcasts or listen to people on YouTube, like thinking that that was progress and that was me creating, but it's not. You know, you're only really creating when you're sort of in your own dojo, in your own gym, like doing the moves. And the most important way to kind of get in there and start moving is to like be scrappy, is to not optimize for perfection, is to not optimize for the best situation, the best recording environment, the best camera, the best designs, the best code engineers around you, the best financial circumstances to support your idea. Like you have to focus on the minimum viable version of it and just get it out there, and get yourself in that as well to see if it feels right for you. So being scrappy to make progress actually helps you make progress towards what you want much faster. The difficulty in that is your relationship to the scrappiness and how you self-judge it. So actually the biggest game in all of this is yourself. Like if you're cool and are more at ease with just getting out there in a scrappy way and being open to the fact that it won't be perfect, people might not enjoy it, people might not like it, it might be buggy, it might have some blurbs in there, it might not be as cohesive. You being cool with that and being able to sit with that and put it out there is going to be a much more worthwhile skill to work on as you progress through from the scrappiness to those 1% incremental iterative improvements that take it from what was a scrappy thing to something really, really cool. And that could be, you know, in my world, it's like, you know, great features, better content, better decisions, better working conditions for yourself. And, you know, that scrappiness will always be present, even if things around are looking more, you know, busy, you know, like if more people are using it, more people watching, more people are buying, that doesn't necessarily mean the scrappiness goes away and then you do everything with perfection. You kind of have to double down on the scrappiness still, because you need to constantly put out experiments and things out there to see like what's working. And that's, you know, that's all of it. Like seriously, as honest as I can say, like being scrappy is a superpower. Like being cool with it, just going out and not overthinking it is a superpower for you. And I would like you to try it. I would like you to try and take something that you're perfecting and actually just put it out there and see what happens. And if nothing happens, that's cool. You did something. And if you get feedback, that's great, that's valuable. And if the intention of what you want to put out there is actually gets to the end result, then, you know, the proof is in that for yourself. But most importantly, it's about working the muscle of being comfortable, of being scrappy. Because if you're constantly seeking to perfect and to make it be absolutely perfect before you put it out, you might not put out as much, and when you do, it might not be as authentic because you spent so much time perfecting it. And there's also the realm of like no man's land in that, where you don't do anything because you're so caught up in the perfection of it. And the perfection doesn't necessarily mean like the execution. It can just be in your head, like overthinking it over and over again, like this way, that way, this color, that color. You have to kind of just go and move and move out rather than perfect it. So there was a story, I was on like a circle call with a guy called Mike Chang, who kind of talked about this concept as well. And there was a guy on the circle, we were in a group, and he basically was saying, look, his business was suffering because they invested all this money creating this amazing retreat space and this wellness center and organizing all these teachers and classes. And they kind of had this grand opening, and no one was really coming in and booking the classes. And obviously they had a big investment in it, and they had some cash flow issues. And that's quite a scary place to be, thinking that you spent all this time like perfecting this launch, and like nothing really happens off the back of it. And Mike said, what you should have done is been a bit more scrappy with it, and put out wellness classes in maybe not the best venues, and not got a lease on a huge venue to that you have to commit to, and just kind of get out the concept that you're trying to do in the brand and build up an initial base of customers. And I thought that was really good advice. It's going to be hard. It was harder for him to go back and do that, but it made me realize at the time that idea of being scrappy was like, that's really important. It can actually save you down the road for like situations that could, essentially destroy your initial vision. And so being scrappy is not just about making progress. It can actually be about protecting what you're trying to do. So that's the hardest thing in that, is finding your comfortability in the idea of that. If you're scrappy and you're willing to kind of put it out there and take more risk with it not being received as well in regards to like what your perfect version of it is going to help you, one, make progress, two, avoid potential future risk, and three, it's going to help you refine what you're doing. So these are three great things to have going on in whatever you're creating, because this is going to allow you to make progress on all fronts. The future you, the present you, and the past you that gets to reflect on it. So yeah, that's my key takeaway of this video. Be scrappy because it helps you make progress faster. Focus on the minimum viable version of whatever you're trying to do, and take action. Go to your own dojo, the dojo of your creator space, whatever it is. Like, go and create that dojo where you're willing to step in and do the moves and fall and get up and do the move again. And I promise you, like, this has really helped me like get everything going right back when I had zero, and still today when I'm doing exactly what I'm doing. I'm doing the same thing I've done all the time, which is an idea comes through and I just go for it. There's no holding back. I just have this self-trust, like, that's right, boom. So I really want you to try and cultivate that relationship too, because I feel like it could really benefit you, and it's obviously benefited me, hence why I'm sharing it with you. And it's real. There's no like trick here. Like, this has just come from lived experience. So yeah, I hope you enjoy it. Let me know, reach out if you're doing that or struggling with that. I'm happy to talk about it more.